right, Gator fans, we have a real treat for you today. Dan Thompson from Stadium and Gale. And honestly, I feel like you've been all over the years. So you're always one of my favorite people to interview because I feel like you're very real. You're a straight shooter and got a lot to talk about. I know that you have been talking about it for a couple of days. Matt Hayes tweeted that Napier is out on Sunday, win or lose. Do you think that there's some truth to that?
I do. I think this has been a work in progress for a while. I think ultimately it was the USF game that was nearly impossible to come back from a optics perspective. And I think after that, as you saw the wheels, continue to fall off, I think it's time. And, I know that there's notable boosters that are frustrated, people that give the university and the athletic department a lot of money. I know the athletic department as a whole, doesn't always have the best reputation amongst fans. There's been a lot of change in the athletic department as well over the last year or so. There's been some hires as well that know the stakes that are at play here. So I think it's high time for Florida to move on, and I think that they've realized that. It gives them a couple weeks before the Georgia game, and you have a bye week to get your affairs in order during that time. But I think Sunday's the last day.
So if you were going to do it Sunday, win or lose, why not just go ahead and do it after Texas A&M? Do you think it's that important to give them the 2 weeks from the bye?
Yeah, probably. I think that it doesn't really change anything regardless of timing, right? Firing him after Texas A&M, after Mississippi State, or firing him at the end of the year. I mean, it's really a lost season. The best that you could do is 8-4. That would be unbelievable turnaround if that actually happened. You're probably looking at best the 6-6 year. I think the way that Florida looks at it as, you have 2 weeks, you have a bye week to kind of prepare, get a new offense or whatever you might do. Instead, you get to potentially make some changes, move some things around. So I just think it buys you a little bit more time. I think, regardless, it doesn't really matter, but I think you can at least get your affairs in order rather than trying to do it all in the course of, 5 days.
So, you said the timing doesn't really matter, which is kind of true. It really doesn't matter if it happens now or it doesn't happen until the end of the year outside of the boosters and the people giving the money. So do you think that that's what this is? It's placating the people that fund things that are upset and that maybe it would have happened either way, but happening now sends a better message to the fan base?
Maybe. I think that it's not, I don't think it should be a surprise to any Gator fan why this information is coming out when it is. And how it is and who's sharing that information. And you're hearing about timelines, you're hearing about potential firings, you're hearing about booster meetings. I don't think that any of that is a coincidence. I think that there's maybe a little forcing of the hand that no matter the situation, this has been brought out to the general public, and the general public now expects things. Before you used to consider Twitter kind of the rabid fan base of, college sports and everything else, but Twitter is in a way real life. And you've got, a lot of people that are keenly interested in what's happening with not only the football program, but, especially in this economy, a lot of people are spending a lot of time, money, energy, to support the team, to go up to Gainesville, and you have 15 straight sellouts. For the Gators, you're going to probably have 16 with homecoming this weekend. So the Gator fans have done their part. Now it's time for the University Athletic Association to do their part. And again, this should not be a coincidence that a lot of this information was leaked out. It doesn't just happen to come out today. I think that there was some probably some well-timed conversations with some people that can put some things into the universe.
Is there anything that he can do this weekend to undo this? Let's say he beats Mississippi State by 40 points.
Congrats. It's a hell of a way to go out.
Speaking of going out, so let's say.
Have we beat anybody by 40 points other than like LIU? I mean, maybe Kentucky was the closest. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to think about, right? I mean, the problems that exist are still going to exist whether you beat Mississippi State or not. It's still Mississippi State. I know that Jeff Lebby has kind of resurrected their program a bit since Dan Mullen left. But at the end of the day, you still have the same issues. You are still struggling to move the ball on offense. You still have the same issues on special teams. You have the same issues with personnel. You have the same issues with momentum. You have the same issues with PR, with everything else in the program. None of that solves itself by beating Mississippi State on homecoming.
So if you fire your coach 6 games into the season, should you have fired him last year?
I mean, I thought that Billy Napier should have been let go last year, and you go on a 5-game winning streak. You end the season with a bowl win, something you haven't done since Dan Mullen was here, and somehow, some way, he was able to convince some people, not all, because there's still a lot of people that are frustrated, to not hire an offensive coordinator. And so the same issues you had last year are still here. I think that you probably didn't see a fit of Billy Napier at the University of Florida in year 2, and then you just kind of make you kind of make excuses. Pardon me, for why it's not working. Oh, he's got to get his guys. He had coaches leave. Before the season started. It's a new offense. It's a new defense. All of these. It's like all of those problems are still your fault, right? We've seen in college football now that you can rebuild a roster quicker. The assistant coaches that left the program are now coaching at schools that are ranked significantly higher than you and doing significantly better than you at all of those other places. So, I think you probably saw it in year 2. If you don't go on a 4 or 5 game winning streak to end the year, does he probably get fired at the end of last year? Probably. But then there's hope in DJ Lagway. There's hope in LJ McCray. There's hope in Vernell Brown the third, and some of the folks in this recruiting class, although most of that, I guess, came into fruition in December of last year after this run. And so then it's like, all right, well, now we've got momentum. They did really well in recruiting to end the recruiting class. They didn't have to do much in the transfer portal because it's like we finally have our guys. But, I mean, I think that you knew it probably wasn't a fit for Florida, maybe against Arkansas, in year 2. Couple other games. And the same issues that you had in year 1 are still the issues that they're working on now.
That Arkansas game, Eric and I were on the sidelines for. We had come down after the game was
not
over.
A big deal
on the sideline, and Eric was calling what was happening from the sideline, and Eric was closer to the special teams unit than Couch was at that moment. And I thought that there was a great chance we were going to get ejected from the game while that was going on because Eric was losing his ever-loving mind. But he seemed to be the most upset than anybody on the sidelines, which should have been an indication at that moment that it was not a great fit. Okay, so I'll get right back to the video, but first I want to give some love to Alumni Hall. If you are going to Gainesville for the Mississippi State game on Saturday, make sure you stop by Alumni Hall for all the very best in game day apparel. Their selection is so elite, and you guys need to make sure you're stopping by their location. It's on Archer Road if you're in Gainesville, or if you're not, you can shop online at alumnihall.com. We appreciate Alumni Hall for their support, and make sure if you go into the store, you tell them Allie Peak sent you. Let's say he's fired Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do for an interim?
You may not have an interim. You may have an announcement. You still may see the same guy on the sideline. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm saying that these are possibilities.
We saw that with Ron Zook, so that is something Florida has done in the past.
Very different, of course. I think Gator fans would love a Ron Zook record right now.
Ron Zook is in Ocala. Like, what the hell, guys?
I'm telling you what. You've got a couple of options. Jabbar Jalouk was probably an option, and then he slapped a kid at LSU.
Right. Kind of just
I don't necessarily think Ron Roberts wants to be the interim head coach. I don't know why. I don't know what goes into that, to why somebody may or may not be interested in that role. Some people just want to be in the role that they're in. Mm-hmm. Billy Gonzalez is maybe the most familiar, probably the most Gator of any of the coaches. Mike Peterson
looks like there.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Peterson obviously played for the Gators, but probably not him. I don't know. We were talking about a pre-show. It's a bit of an indictment on your team that you don't have a potential interim there. And before the internet starts to chime in, they're going to be like, well, what about Steve Spurrier Jr.? Steve Spurrier Jr. should not be the interim head coach at the University.
He's an analyst. No.
Right. He's a failed offensive coordinator at Tulsa. So, like the guy, appreciate his dad. But, I don't know what you do. It doesn't really matter, though, right? What does it matter if you go 7-5 or 6-6 or 5-7, other than maybe an extra game? for these
I
kids.
think it
So,
becomes interesting though if you're not going to switch the guy, because the whole, oh, we're going to do it after Mississippi State, win or lose, to give the next guy 2 weeks to prepare. Are we really going to see any changes at all if Napier just goes from head coach to lame duck,
but
essentially?
like, but I guess my thought is like, and I'm not saying that he's going to stick around.
Sure.
I've heard very mixed things about what might happen, but like at the end of the day, what does it matter, right? None of the staff. I mean, sans maybe one or two guys on staff may get considered for the full time staff. Most of the analysts are going to be gone. A lot of them have already started, getting their resume tidied up and moving on to their next thing. So, but I just, there's a lot of people that are asking that question. That's not an offensive question that you're asking. It's just, it doesn't really matter what happens. Florida's already got a lost season. I mean, I guess you could fight to play in the Gasparilla Bowl again, but what's that? It's time for Florida to move on, and I don't give it to whoever wants it or make it a rotate. It doesn't really matter. You're going to probably not get a ton of development. There's probably not going to be a ton of changes that are any different. Russ Callaway may call plays, but what does it do halfway through the season? For their development too.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've seen what it's done for UCLA with an interim head coach, and I understand it's different, firing your coach 2 games into the season, but maybe this is an NIL opportunity. Florida Victorious can decide to auction off head coach for the remainder of the season for the largest donation.
Can you imagine seeing Dan Thompson on the sideline calling plays for verts all the time?
It would be fantastic.
I'm
What
telling you what.
a great marketing
I'll
opportunity.
have to wear a hat so people don't make fun of my hair live.
Well, I'm sure Jumpman could come up with some great options.
I love it.
For you. Just before we go, a quick reminder on Sleeper. With my code PEEK, PEEK, you get a free $20 entry on the Sleeper app. No deposit needed, but check the Sleeper app and make some money with us this season. We appreciate Sleeper for their support.